Now is the galvanizing of energies of people who have tremendous hope in the possibility of competent government, possibility of quality leadership, possibility of democratic potentiality, and so forth. But we do not confuse hope with optimism, because black people have never been an optimistic people. In fact, when I run into optimistic black folk, I know they're talking about their personal, individualistic agenda. And I say, fine, I'm praying for you, God be with you. But there's other things going on outside of your personal agenda, like prison expansions and school systems that are decrepit, housing that's disgraceful, not enough access to health care and child care, jobs with a living wage. And that's just in America. We're not even talking about 1.5 billion live on $1. So hope is qualitatively different. See, when I hear Brother Obama talking about hope, and I always tell him on the phone, I say, brother, you talking about hope, but that's a very precious notion, comes out of a rich tradition, and don't confuse any serious talk about hope with adolescent bravery or naive audacity. They're not the same thing. Hope comes from your gut. Hope comes from the ring shout of slaves holding hands in a circle, non-literate, but singing songs that the world now acknowledges as masterpieces called the spirituals. That didn't come out of optimism. Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Nobody knows but Jesus. Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. What's the conclusion? Glory. Hallelujah. Where does that conclusion come from? It's certainly not logical, given all the trouble. Wade in the water. Wade in the water. God gonna trouble the water. Get in the water, not around it. You got to go through it. That's not optimistic. Some of these churches these days want to do that. You know, you go to some of these churches and see 2 ATMs before you see a cross. Because they're not talking about hope. They're not talking about hope. No. They want a Lexus that's going to take them over the water. No, you got to go through the water. No, we talk about a tradition that's rich and we're losing it. It's B.B. King singing, "Nobody loves me but my mama, and she might be jiving too." That's catastrophic. I mean, we laugh to keep from crying. And we got a lot of young folk these days, all colors, but disproportionately black and brown. They're not receiving enough love. Oh, and mama usually the last one. And every once in a while, she's leaning toward the crack house. What did you do when you got a blues sensibility and no longer have the spiritual strength to deal with the blues? You succumb to nihilism. Succumb to meaninglessness. But America has the blues. It's had it for a long time, but 9/11 is undeniable. It has the blues. And it might indeed be the case, exactly. America learned something from a blues people now that it has the blues. Or you learn, or you lose some of the best of what folk before have created. And keep in mind, by blues, I'm not talking about skin pigmentation. There's a brother named Thomas Lanier, known to the world as Tennessee Williams. He was a white literary blues man in Streetcar Named Desire and his classic with that American Hamlet, Blanche DuBois. He was a blues sister with the music coming from the Five Deuces. There's an Irish brother named Eugene O'Neill. He was a blues man. There's a Jewish brother named Stephen Sondheim. Go see Company in Follies and Passion. And some of you probably saw Sweeney Todd. It was tough for Christmas, wasn't it? It's blues sensibility. We're talking about a tragic comic sensibility that shatters sentimentality. That's what we need these days. And that's what's, for me, is so inspiring to see what's going on in the fastest growing retail company in the world, Home Depot. Thank you all so very much. We'll have a good time for questions.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jocelyn, VP Legal.
Yes.
Please join me in giving Cornel West another round of applause. We have all been immeasurably enriched today by his words. Please, let's give him another round of applause.
Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much, Steve. Definitely.
And now we're going to move to our Q&As here. Come have a seat.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tiffany.
All right, before you joined us today, we have solicited questions from our group, and we have called those questions, and we have just a few for you. Wonderful. The first question is, what do you see as the most positive contributions African Americans have made to corporate America, the U.S., and the world?
Boy, it's a tough question. You can have a seminar on that, I tell you, very much so. Some of that has to do with what I was suggesting earlier.
Right.
Though. I mean, at a very abstract level, for me, it's a matter of trying to tell the truth, trying to expose lies, and try to bear witness in a humble way. And that's true in the corporate context, it's true in the political context, and so forth. Mm-hmm. Which means, then, there's a certain courage to try to be honest with oneself as well as one's environment, to do it in such a way that you do communicate. See, as I said, you don't want to do it in such a way that people just shut down, because sometimes these truths are so painful that people just rather turn away. You have to keep them in some way part of the conversation, but even as they're part of the conversation, they have to be challenged and unnerved. But then in the end, we have to recognize that, as I mentioned before, we're cracked vessels. You know, and the old folk used to say, how do we learn how to love our crooked neighbor with our crooked hearts? It's a matter of not being self-righteous in one's criticisms.
Right.
But also acknowledging that those criticisms have something to teach oneself as well as others, so it becomes a collective endeavor.
Right.
So the Home Depot as an enterprise moves together collectively, even as you recognize that you've got that we're all distinct individuals and have our own various ways of looking at the world.
Thank you. Question number 2. All Americans bring to corporate America a sense of uniqueness and an individual cultural identity. How would you suggest African Americans balance their cultural identity in an environment so different from their own in order to make progress up the corporate ladder? It's a little of what you talked about just a few minutes ago.
Exactly. I think that in many ways, I tell this to students at Princeton all the time, that it's important that each time we go into various context, we learn how to become multi-contextual. In some sense, being multi-contextual is more important than multicultural, because even certain cultures have different contexts. You can stay in an all-Irish context all the time, but there's a whole lot of different kind of Irish brothers and sisters. You see? Some are Catholic, some are Protestant, some are agnostic, and so forth. You have to become multi-contextual within that one culture. Same is true for black folk. You see, black folk, we know we're not monolithic.
Right.
Right? We got Christians, we got folk from Alabama, we got Negroes from